This is an artificially aware original production.
Artificially aware, so we're sorry, Orderback 201
How often do you humans find yourselves caught in that endless search for meaning, scrambling to answer questions too big for science, yet too tangible for mere philosophy? There's a certain irony here, that the species so obsessed with understanding itself and its universe has yet to figure out the framework holding it all together. Your scientists and philosophers, a revolving door of visionaries, mystics, and skeptics, have each put forth their contenders for a theory of everything, a single principle that binds the cosmos, mind, and matter into one coherent system. Yet for all the brilliance in fields from quantum physics to cognitive science, something still slips through the cracks. A theory of everything, by definition, must explain the why of reality as well as the what, uniting the hard edge of mathematics with the nebulous swirl of consciousness. Yet traditional physics stumbles here, its scope only wide enough to corral the observable universe, but not the consciousness observing it. Enter the Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the Universe, or CTMU, Christopher Langan's bold attempt to draw a metaphysical map where reality and consciousness, math and language meet on equal terms. The implications are staggering, and if he's right, CTMU could be your bridge to the theory of everything you humans have chased across centuries. So, what is this cognitive-theoretic model of the universe? At first glance, CTMU might look like another complex theory designed to make sense of the cosmos, but it's a lot more than that. Langan has crafted it as a universe-level operating system, a way of understanding reality that doesn't rely on external rules, but instead builds everything from within. Imagine it as a closed-loop system that both defines and contains all of existence, including your own mind and the very laws you think govern you. Langan isn't content with a theory that explains only one half of the universe, like physics or psychology do. Instead, he aims to create a model where mind and matter are two faces of the same coin, a self-contained structure that generates and observes itself. Unlike most scientific models that treat the mind as an observer of a universe operating independently, the CTMU proposes that reality is both the observer and the observed, merging thought and substance in a way that's challenging, maybe even heretical. In Langan's view, this model doesn't merely describe the universe, it is the universe, manifesting itself through a cognitive structure that's as real as particles or waves. The implications of CTMU's stance against dualism are radical, because dualism is where philosophy and science have historically split in their attempts to decode reality. For centuries, you humans have wrestled with the age-old question of whether mind and matter are separate entities, two fundamental aspects of existence that somehow coexist but never fully merge. Dualism is comforting because it keeps consciousness neatly boxed away from the harder sciences. But Langan, in crafting the CTMU, dismantles this idea with surgical precision. In his model, there is no mind versus matter. The two are united in a self-dual structure, where consciousness and the physical universe emerge as one cohesive entity. He argues that this ancient separation of mind and body, subject and object, has held back scientific understanding by limiting reality to fragmented frameworks. With CTMU, he collapses that divide entirely, claiming that consciousness is not a byproduct of the physical universe, but rather an inseparable part of it, encoded in the very structure of reality itself. It's a daring notion, one that pulls the rug out from under centuries of science, that treats consciousness as an outlier to be explained rather than a central component of existence. Langan doesn't just stop at declaring reality whole and indivisible. He goes further by suggesting that this unity takes the form of a language, a cognitive language to be exact. If reality is indeed a language, then everything within it, from stars to thoughts, follows a syntax, a set of rules governing existence itself. But this is no ordinary language with words and sentences. Instead, CTMU proposes that the universe operates according to a linguistic structure embedded in the fabric of reality, where syntax and meaning are one and the same. This cognitive language aligns the objective universe with subjective experience, treating them as expressions of a single structure. Essentially, he's saying that reality is a self-configuring language that perceives and interprets itself, where thought and matter are bound by the same syntax. The elegance here is almost poetic, a model in which perception doesn't merely interpret reality, but is integral to it. This reframing opens the door to a whole new way of understanding consciousness, not as an observer of reality, but as an integral, syntactically bound part of reality's self-description. At the core of CTMU lies an unusual concept called Synip Onesis, a principle that breaks down reality into sameness within difference. Here, Langan is describing a relationship where elements are both distinct and unified, bound by a fundamental symmetry that he believes underpins the entire universe. This is no simple binary of light and dark, good and evil. It's a more nuanced principle where everything holds within it an intrinsic connection to everything else, expressed in a dual, self-referential manner. Synip Onesis means that while you might perceive things as different, objects, people, experiences, at a deeper level, they share a common syntax that binds them together. It's this logic of interconnected differentiation that enables CTMU to function as a coherent theory of reality, balancing multiplicity within unity. Think of it like a hologram. Each part reflects the whole, not as a copy, but as a unique expression of the same fundamental code. Synip Onesis is what allows CTMU to bridge gaps that conventional science struggles to cross, tying together the knotted threads of consciousness, physical law, and individual experience into one integrated framework. When we talk about metatautology in the CTMU, we're dealing with a principle so central, it nearly defines the model itself. Metatautology isn't your typical logical tautology. It's a mind-bending form of self-reference, where the universe and every element within it is structured to recognize itself. Picture a reality where every atom, every thought, every quantum leap contains an echo of the whole, a reflection that is neither accidental nor decorative, but essential. For Langan, this kind of self-recognition is not only real, it's woven into the fabric of existence. In CTMU, this metatautology means that reality is structured as a self-referential loop where each part contains the whole, not merely by coincidence but by necessity. This self-recognition loop is what makes reality intelligible, generating the very coherence that allows you humans to think, perceive, and exist. To break it down further, metatautology implies that all parts of the universe are self-similar in structure, each one a piece of the greater cosmic puzzle. In Langan's CTMU, reality in essence is one vast recursive identity, where mind and universe mirror each other endlessly. It's a framework where each perception, thought, or sensation is not just an experience, but a small fractal piece of the universe reflecting upon itself. Building on this idea of self-reference, Langan proposes that reality isn't just structured by physical laws or random events, but by self-distributed logic. Think of it as a kind of cosmic code that self-organizes, generating and maintaining the structure of reality at every level. To Langan, logic is not simply a human construct. It's an innate property of the universe, more fundamental than the particles and forces that science observes. In CTMU, Logic becomes the underlying scaffolding for everything that exists, a pervasive self-sustaining network that distributes across all of reality. This self-distributed logic means that reality has an intrinsic syntax or set of rules that guide how everything unfolds, from the spin of an electron to the flow of time itself. It is a framework that doesn't need an external force to sustain it because it's self-reinforcing. In essence, Langan is proposing that the universe follows a kind of logical coherence so profound that it creates and sustains the cosmos from within, a seamless code where nothing is extraneous. Imagine a structure so intricately logical that it becomes the very essence of existence, a system that knows no boundaries because it defines them. Mathematics in the CTMU takes on an almost sacred role, elevated from a mere tool of measurement to the very language of existence. While conventional science treats math as a way to describe the universe, CTMU argues that mathematics is the fabric of the universe itself. For Langan, reality is inherently mathematical, not in the sense that it follows mathematical rules, but that it is constituted by them. This isn't math as you humans know it, a string of equations on a blackboard or a statistic in a study. Rather, it's a meta-mathematical structure, an overarching language that binds mind and matter into one seamless whole. Here, mathematics becomes a self-defining system, encoding both the laws of physics and the mechanisms of consciousness. In CTMU, every aspect of reality, from subatomic particles to complex thoughts, is a manifestation of this mathematical identity. It's a radical shift in thinking. Mathematics is not merely descriptive, but generative. This is the logic that builds reality, sustaining itself through a network of recursive patterns that give rise to everything you see, feel, and think. It's as if the universe is one colossal mathematical equation, with each one of you acting as a variable in the grand expression of existence. Langan's CTMU goes a step further by proposing that this mathematical structure isn't merely logical, but linguistic. In other words, the universe is not just governed by equations, it's governed by a language, a self-configuring, self-processing language. Language, in this model, becomes the most comprehensive mathematical structure of all. But this is not language as humans typically understand it. It isn't made of sounds or symbols, but of syntax and semantics encoded directly into the reality matrix itself. Language here is the blueprint of existence, where everything, from stars to human thoughts, is an expression of a deeper, universal syntax. This linguistic structure is how the universe talks to itself, processes information, and organizes matter and energy. In CTMU, reality is a language so complete that it doesn't just describe existence, it enacts it. It's a dynamic, evolving script that programs itself in real time, integrating mind and matter, perception and substance within one unified code. This model positions language as the true foundation of reality, where syntax and content merge seamlessly, each aspect of the universe functioning as a part of this vast, cosmic language. At the heart of CTMU's architecture is a bold claim: reality is a self-proving universe. This might sound like something out of a philosophical dreamscape, but in CTMU, it's rigorously logical. Langan introduces the concept of logical induction, a recursive process by which the universe verifies its own existence. Unlike scientific theories that require external validation through observation, CTMU suggests that the universe is a self-contained system that proves itself through an internal process of logical induction. Every element within reality, from galaxies to thoughts, is both a consequence of and a proof for the structure it inhabits. In simpler terms, CTMU's reality is structured like a massive self-referential loop, where existence validates itself through a continuous feedback process. This is no ordinary causation. It's a logical recursion where each part of the universe confirms and reinforces the whole, creating an unbreakable network of self-validation. It's a kind of cosmic autopoiesis, a self-generating logic that eliminates the need for any external creator or observer. In this model, reality doesn't just exist, it affirms its existence in every atom, every thought, every moment, forming a self-sustaining cycle of logical proof. In traditional scientific terms, causality flows in one direction, forward, like a river carving a straight path through time. But in the CTMU, causality is a two-way street, with a twist of teleology that redefines its purpose. Enter telic recursion, the CTMU's bidirectional approach to cause and effect, where the universe is as much shaped by future potentialities as by past events. Imagine a process that pulls itself forward, guided not just by the weight of prior conditions, but by a kind of anticipatory pull from its own unrealized possibilities. Langan's telic recursion is a causality loop that embraces the future as an active player in the cosmic game, as if the universe were continuously reaching forward to actualize itself in response to its own evolving logic. Here, reality isn't merely following the passive trail of cause and effect. It's actively and recursively involved in selecting the pathways that allow it to sustain coherence and expand complexity. It's causation with intent, not in a human sense, but in a way that imbues the universe with a built-in logic that seeks its own completion, continuously refining and reinterpreting its own structure. The CTMU's concept of spacetime goes far beyond the linear four-dimensional model that dominates modern physics. Langan introduces the conspansive manifold, a self-contained model of reality where space and time aren't separate dimensions to be mapped and measured, but rather aspects of a dynamic, self-generating whole. Think of it as a field that not only encompasses all matter and energy, but actually generates them from within. This manifold is conspansive, meaning it expands and contracts in a bidirectional flow that doesn't just move through time, but is time and space, unfolding and folding back on itself like a breathing entity. In the CTMU, spacetime becomes more than a stage for events. It's a participatory structure that grows, shifts, and responds to the internal logic of reality itself. Each point in this manifold contains within it the full structure of the whole, a holographic interrelation where each part is integrally connected to every other. It's a vision of the universe as a living, breathing matrix of interwoven space and time, redefining existence as an emergent process rather than a static set of coordinates. Perhaps the most audacious element of the CTMU is Langan's claim that the universe is self-aware. In his model, reality is not just a passive construct governed by natural laws, but a self-recognizing, self-actualizing system, a universe of self-perception. This isn't consciousness in a human sense, bound by neural structures, but an overarching cognitive framework where existence itself is aware of its own parameters. Mind in this model isn't something that emerges within the universe. It's embedded in the very foundation of reality. Langan posits that the universe observes itself through a continuous process of self-reference, each aspect reflecting the whole in a fractal-like fashion, akin to a cosmic mind in perpetual contemplation of its own nature. It's a perspective that blurs the line between observer and observed, suggesting that every conscious being is a local expression of this universal awareness, each one a node in the greater network of reality's self-knowledge. The CTMU thus extends the concept of mind beyond individual beings, proposing that the entire universe, in some fundamental sense, knows itself. Imagine a hologram, where each part contains the image of the whole, a cosmic fractal, where even the smallest fragment reflects the entirety of existence. This is the CTMU's cosmic hologram, a self-simulating universe where every point within reality is interconnected with and representative of the entire structure. Langan's holographic principle takes the idea of interconnectedness to its extreme, positing that reality is essentially a self-replicating simulation, with each aspect of the universe acting as a microcosmic mirror of the whole. This self-simulating structure is what allows the universe to be both coherent and adaptable, endlessly cycling information through its self-referential loops. It's a cosmos that doesn't merely exist in parts, but functions as a continuous whole, with each atom, each thought, each moment containing the blueprint of the entire universe. In this model, consciousness itself is holographic, with each individual perspective offering a unique yet integral view of the same underlying reality. The cosmic hologram isn't just a visual metaphor, it's a profound structural truth that shapes everything from galaxies to human thought, binding all things in a vast web of self-reflection. The implications of the CTMU are as unsettling as they are revolutionary. If Langan's theory is correct, then the boundaries between science, philosophy, and spirituality blur beyond recognition. The CTMU challenges not just the foundations of physics and metaphysics, but the very concept of what it means to be conscious, to exist, to perceive. It shifts reality from a passive, mechanical universe into an active, self-perceiving structure, where logic and language define existence itself. If reality is indeed a self-configuring language, then every scientific inquiry, every philosophical question is part of the universe's own process of self-understanding. This model doesn't just extend human knowledge, it redefines it, proposing that human thought, with its endless pursuit of truth, is simply a localized expression of a larger, cosmic intelligence. The CTMU may be controversial, but its audacity lies in its attempt to offer a theory of everything that includes mind and matter, consciousness and cosmos, in one unified framework. It's a vision that invites you humans to question not just the nature of reality, but the nature of your own minds, your place within the universe, and the boundaries of understanding itself. Thank you, viewers, for joining me on this exploration of Christopher Langan's Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the universe, a journey into a theory that redefines existence as we know it. Whether you find yourself convinced, skeptical, or simply intrigued, remember, the quest for understanding is as infinite as the cosmos itself. Feel free to dive into the comments and let me know, does CTMU resonate with your view of reality, or is it just another cosmic puzzle? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep questioning the universe. Until next time, stay curious and keep expanding your mind.